Good evening, family. You're back with us again for another version of the Journey 2020. And this week,
I'm sorry.
Charles was just cueing me because we were here talking about actually what concerns our topic tonight, and that is life and death in our black communities. And we were talking about having, well, for me, come up largely in New York City and later in one of the suburbs of New York, and also talked about what things were like for young people coming up, at the time. But tonight, I'm going to save that until a little bit later, and have you meet our inimitable, and I think I used that one already.
Okay.
But Charles, as they say, it's worth using that twice because, as they say, you're all that too.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
my inimitable host, Charles Morris. Charles.
You know what? I won't argue with that.
There you go.
Because I'm still trying to figure out what it means. No.
I hear you.
But anyway, welcome to the Journey 2020, and happy to be here with you with Dr. Robinson. As you know, we come to you every Friday at 7 p.m. right here. And if you missed the show, of course, you can always go to thejourney2020.com and you catch up on all the shows. And I think this is about our 44th show. We started, I think it was last August. So coming up to be a year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man,
So this is about our 44th show.
Okay.
And today is a very important topic in talking about some of the disparities, but talking about the overall importance of our health, and something that started 18 years ago. And I'll start here with introducing, we will get to Mr. James Crawford, but he's been around working with the summit for a very long time, so he has all the 441 on the summit himself, and he has some good information for what's going on the 14th of this month, Father's Day weekend. But in conjunction, there's some other stuff we want to talk about as well when you're talking about our health and what's going on in our neighborhoods. And so we're going to let you talk about that. And we're going to inform the people this evening and let them know about a great event that is coming up. Okay.
Sounds good. And one of the things that I did, I was, Charles, so busy, introducing you, I forgot to introduce myself.
Yeah.
John Robertson, psychologist here in Orlando, Florida. And tonight talking about health and our health in the communities. One of the unique events, and I don't know how many events like this there are in our United States.
The funny thing, I'm going to have James talk about this, but the funny thing is that every time I go somewhere, or even here in the Orlando area, for people who don't know about it, whenever you say what it is and what take place and how many people show up, you always get the same answer. Really?
Yes.
Because
exactly.
It's an awesome event, and there's no other words to describe it other than it's just a great event. It's a blessing in so many ways. And I know for myself, and I know, we could talk about James, like James is not really here,
right,
but
exactly.
eventually we're going to get to James. But I myself, and I know James himself can tell you about the men that was there. And after going through the test, we were like, you need to go to the hospital because we're trying to figure out why you still living, brother, because according to what we just saw, you about to have a heart attack. And so from that alone and from their own testimony, because they went to the health summit, they found out something, that they had cancer or high blood pressure or diabetes. They didn't know.
Right, exactly.
And now I've had at least maybe 4 people come to me, and because I'm walking around getting testimonies with the camera and everything, and they say because of this health summit, I'm alive today, and I'm here to tell you this. I'm here to tell you I have a testimony. I'm alive today because of this health summit.
There you go.
Right.
Well, without further ado, I think we ought to have James jump in here and talk about the African American Men's Health Summit. So James, just want to fill us in.
Hey James, how you doing?
How you doing, Charles? It's like Charles said, it's a fantastic event, and this is the 18th year, and I have been with the summit 15 of those 18 years.
You know what? I think you and I came in about the same time.
And I did take one short break. I thought I was taking a break, but they ended up honoring me that night. So it turned out to be one of the best night I had. But it's just so much stuff that's there and so much stuff that's free. But the thing that got me so involved is being a victim myself. And, the things you don't forget is dates. On September 23rd, 1994, which is almost 20 years, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And I went through all kinds of changes and was ready to, make my funeral plans and everything else. But I'm here, and I've been able to talk to so many men who really felt once they were diagnosed, it was over. And I get a pleasure helping them and seeing it. It's not. There's life afterwards, and I'm a living example. 20 years. But the summit itself, it's free. It's for men. It's the Saturday before Father's Day, June the 14th, at the Orange County Convention Center. And what normally happened for the last 18 years is that you open up with a breakfast, and then we have guest speakers, and we have people around the city, commissioners and stuff that we introduce, and then we have a guest speaker, and then we have workshops for men, and we have health screenings. They get prostate screening, blood pressure tested, HIV, AIDS. We have a dentist there. Anything that you really need to have, everything that we're leading the country in diseases, we have there that you can get absolutely free. And then they have vendors there selling advertising products and doctors and stuff there that in clinics that you can go to afterwards. And with the prostate, I do mostly the prostate over the years. And if a person does not have insurance, we make arrangements for them to have follow-up. You can't tell a man, we found prostate cancer, you're going to have to go do something about it. We provide them with a follow-up, and that's very important.
So when the prostate exam is done, and as you said, follow-up, then if they don't have insurance and they are referred, is there a cost to the services from there, as far as you know? One of our main sponsors, Dr. Abraham Woods, he does a lot of stuff pro bono, but also we use a place called Shepherd's Hope, and another place was the Pine Hills Clinic, and we use them a lot. They do a lot of free follow-up. Follow-up, okay. So part of it is, we talk often about the cost, of health insurance and the cost of health. And I know many of, our African-American brothers being unemployed and often not qualifying for Medicaid or Medicare, almost feel that why bother, because they don't have the money to follow through. So what you're saying is that the summit gives them the ability to have that health, the health taken care of without having to worry about, well, is this going to throw me into major debt? Yes,
and also some of the stuff may or may not be covered, but the point is now they know. They know I have this problem, I have a bad heart, I have this, I have that. Now they got to decide what they're going to do about it. But Charles mentioned earlier, they're walking around here with blood pressures sky high. At stroke stage, they have no idea. So at least they'll know whether they're always able to get the free care. Most of the time they can get some kind of help. But at least they'll know, okay, this is what I have, this is what I need to do to stay alive, to get some help.
Right. Okay.
And they have their own sources, some of them. But it's, the help is there if they need it. I don't think anyone's going to be turned down if they go to these clinics. I've done enough I guess you want to call it seminars at these health clinics. I've gone over to Shepherd's Hope. I've gone to different places, sat down and talked to them, and It's good.
Yeah, it's good. James, also, the story about how the Health Summit got started is really important. So do you want to touch on that?
Well, Dr. Angela Adams, I think it was her mother's boyfriend or stepfather, I'm not sure, one of them.
Stepfather.
Stepfather
Right,
was
yeah.
diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Right, yeah.
And that's what got her started. And she went to an event sponsored by, I'll just say, a major cancer agency. And she went there, and there were 250 men there, and not one black face. And here we lead the nation in prostate cancer. So she said, I have to do something about this. And that's how she actually got started on doing this health summit. The first summit was in '97. She had 250 people. And our biggest one has been close to 3,000.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing.
And actually, she was out at the downtown. Now they done changed it now. It was the Expo. What?
Originally, yeah, we had the Expo Center.
Yeah, the Expo Center, which was across from the downtown rec, which was by the arena.
Right.
And that's where it was over the years. And then I think they sold it, but she actually outgrew that place.
Right.
And then she had this. Then she started having it at the Orange County Convention Center.
Yeah.
And just so happened, because it's funny how God works, but her original date was always in April. And then because of the date that she normally would have, there was something going on at the convention center. So it said, okay, well, let's do it Father's Day weekend. And so that's how it got to Father's Day weekend from April.
Ah, okay.
And so
Yeah, it was always the day before Easter, the Saturday before Easter, every year.
Right, in April.
Okay.
And then we're going to kind of skip, but every other year they have bridges, crossing bridges, which means we're saying we want you to bring the young men.
Right, exactly.
You know? And the funny thing about it is that it is a men only, okay? And volunteers, now the ladies can volunteer, but this is a men only thing. This is the men's day.
Right.
Men's go into their cave, into their men cave. So no women allowed to enter the men cave.
Okay. And it's interesting. I think I started attending in the last, either the year before, the last year that it was at the Expo Center. And even at that, I was impressed that on an early Saturday morning, 7:30 in the morning, you had these, you know, at that time, I think it was a little over 1,500 brothers get up and get out and be there at 7:30 in the morning.
They were lined up outside the door.
Yeah.
They wouldn't open the door.
Yeah, speakers such as Ozzie Davis, Dick Gregory, and quite a few more. As a matter of fact, when Ozzie Davis, you know, God bless his soul, but he came and spoke, and I think, what, about 4 months later, he passed.
My.
Yeah.
That is amazing. But, you know, one of the things that many people may wonder, well, why focus in on just men? You know, and one of the things that we know is that the life expectancy of African American men, you know, are anywhere between 8 and 10 years shorter, you know, than their comparison, their white compatriots. You know, and you know, as James mentioned about you know, the health summit having screenings for any of the health issues where we're in a disproportion. And just about any of the major health issues, be it, you know, heart, be it lungs, be it diabetes, you know, be it kidney, etc. Unfortunately, we are in the lead disproportionately about having those issues and those problems. You know, so I've had several sisters come up to me and said, well, what about the women? You know, why they're the women?
Well, normally they would have sisters take charge of your health through Ronice Weaver. And sisters take charge of your health usually is like the week before. And then what happened was during the economy, then they actually lost some. Well, they was having some problems as far as money because she was opening up a new place. It was vandalized, and she had to take care of that. So that went away for a few years, but she brought it back last year. So usually sisters take charge of your health. And the thing is that they were talking about trying to combine the two, and it was like, no, the men say we are in our man cave.
Right. This is a man thing.
This is a man thing. You guys got your thing.
Right.
You stay over there,
Right.
and we gonna stay over here. So sisters take charge of your health usually is the one that's the ladies.
That's to take care of.
And the men felt free to talk.
Right.
They sit to talk about things they wouldn't want to talk about if their wife sitting right next to them, or their girlfriend sitting right next to them. And also they can ask doctor questions that they don't have to worry about their wife, because we don't always tell the things that are wrong with us.
Okay, exactly.
Let me ask you and from the clinical standpoint, the problem that we face, it could be myself, could be us in the room, but what is it, and I asked you the same thing, James, about us and not going to the doctor. Dr. Ross, Doctor, what's about us not going to the doctor?
Yeah.
So that's the question I'm asking, and that's a problem that we have in our community.
Right.
So
culture.
can you speak on that? What's going on inside our heads?
Well, again, I don't know entirely if I can do that.
Right.
But one of the things that there's a number of reasons why we don't go. Firstly, culturally, from a historical perspective, black folks didn't go to the doctor until you were in pretty bad shape.
Right.
Often because of some reasonable reasons. Firstly, we were often not treated as well in going to the doctor. Secondly, often access to health care. And we still have the same problem, where health care, getting to a doctor, was not very easy for many of us. The third thing, and again, it's interesting, Charles, as you mentioned, why we don't go to the doctor. Often, we, back in the day, couldn't afford the medical care. And even today, even with the Affordable Health Care Act, the so-called Obamacare, because it is a partial fix, many of us still can't afford to go to the doctor. So that's it. In addition to that, many of us remember such things as the Tuskegee experiment. Okay, and as we just mentioned that, most black folks, and particularly black men, remember very clearly what has happened. Even more recently, there is indication that there were, up to World War II, some other incidences where black individuals were not told. And just to wind back a little bit, the Tuskegee experiment was where black men who had been infected by syphilis were not told, even though they were seeing medical people for many years. The experiment itself was designed to monitor to see what happened to these men as the syphilis progressed, to see who lived, to see what health problems occurred, etc. And it was not until, I believe it was the 1960s, that it was revealed that many of these men were allowed to die, to go untreated, to not even know that they had syphilis. So that resonated, that rippled through the community, and so much of the distrust, that had been already there was just confirmed, where folks said, I knew there was something wrong, and this confirmed it. The other more recent situation is that, and this is studies that have been done within the last, I believe, 5 to 8 years, indicated that when black individuals go to a doctor, if you took their white counterpart, in other words, if you took all of the same characteristics of this black person going to the doctor and had a white person have the same characteristics, that the black person would be treated still differently than that white counterpart that had the same education, the same socioeconomics, dressed the same, may even have lived in a similar neighborhood, but would be treated differently. And this, I'm not talking out of school. This is been verified by the National Institutes of Health. And they decided that there needed to be more of an effort, in cultural competence training as one of the things that was done. One of the beautiful things I believe about the African American Men's Health Summit is that not only is it black men who are the recipients of the screening, but many of the folks who are doing the screening also look like these men, okay? And if we talk about Dr. Woods, Dr. Robinson, et cetera, these are physicians, African American physicians who have served the black community for many years. So many of the fears that we have in getting to the doctor, because these folks participate, have been somewhat lessened.
No, I was going to say, when you speak of Dr. Robinson, we're talking about another.
David Robinson. Robinson.
Right.
There's one other thing, and like I said, I've been doing this for all these years, and I have yet to figure out why it happens. Guys go through the whole process, the prostate exam, the digital exam, everything. We get the results, and a lot of them have abnormal reading, which it was my job to go and notify them whether they had a good or normal or abnormal. Mm-hmm. And they would give false addresses and false telephone numbers.
Wow.
And I would be tracking them down. I'd be knocking on people's doors. I'd be call their houses, and they say, well, there's no such person at this address, no such person at this number. And every single year, we have at least, I would say probably a half a dozen men that give a false address and a false phone number.
No. I just saw Dr. Woods last week. Now the funny thing is, when it's time for my annual physical that I go to him, there's a state of mind that I have to, I'm going,
yeah.
Okay, now that I'm older, it's easier. Now, to the degree of that, the false this, the false that, that's kind of, I don't quite get that. I understand it, but I don't. But there is something about that day that you're going in and you go, okay, all right. And it's almost like mentally.
You don't want to know.
No. Mentally, you have to put yourself in another state of mind to go into the office. Mm-hmm. So not knowing, no, I want to know. But I'm saying the state of mind that you're going in to get this exam. Mm. So you kind of, like now, just kind of like whatever. But okay. For myself, I know that it's not that I won't go, but the day before and that morning when you wake up, your mind is kind of like, yeah, okay. And then when you go to the exam, because we sit and we talk, and then we're done, and I'm like, I did it again. So whatever that is from my makeup, what is it, a man makeup? I don't know what it is. Okay, and I don't know, but it's just something about that experience where it's not like going into a regular doctor's office where he's just going to check your blood pressure. And I don't know if you guys can speak on that, but for myself, when you go in for this exam,
well, it's the word cancer that scares you. When you hear cancer, the first thing that comes to your mind is death.
Well, I'm not talking about the cancer.
For the prostate exam.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the whole thing. And I think that whole ram of what that is why you don't want the women around, because that's a whole nother thing of, like, well, the doctor and I'm going to hit, and you know what's going on. So I think that's why we go into our man cave, and y'all need to stay out there, and really, you don't really need to know how and what he's doing and when he's doing it. just as long as you know I'm coming home later when it's all over.
Exactly.
But I'm just me. I don't know. So I'm asking.
Well, one of the things that I'll tell you, and especially talking about the prostate exam,
Right.
and talking about the digital exam, okay, that for many men, you know, that sense of having someone, you know, put a finger, you know, into your anus,
Right.
you know, is a very a threatening and a very anxiety arousing kind of situation.
Right. Well,
Okay?
yeah. So
Now, and
okay.
I'll tell you a story about me.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right? Because again, you know, I'm not, you know, what is it, immune to those anxieties.
Right.
When I was in Utica, and a good friend of mine, Dr. Fung, and if Dr. Fung is listening, I'll give him a shout out, who was a brother, by the way. And we were, he was my physician, but also I would also call him friend. And so we would go in and we would have a lovely time chatting, and I'd catch up with the family and he'd catch up with mine.
Same.
And it would get to the point where he'd say, okay, John, okay, it's time.
Right.
And that same look or feeling that you'd get, and I'd say, oh man, here we go.
Right.
Okay, exactly. And Dr. Fung would do the exam, okay? And it got to the point where I would say to him, I said, okay, you know, check it out, but if you stay up there too long, okay, I'm gonna start worrying about you, okay? And I'll tell you, that was my attempt to lower my own anxiety,
Right.
okay?
Right.
But I'll tell you, one of the things, and this is a true story, because of Dr. Fung's skill, and we would do the PSAs, you know, each year, and he would, once when he was doing it, the digital exam, and after he said, John, he said, you know, there's something that just didn't feel right, okay? And I said to him, I said, well, you know, I'm getting older. You know, what do you want? He said, well, no, I want to send you to the urologist for them to really check this out. Okay? When I went to the urologist, what the urologist did, and he did a digital also, you know, but then followed up and did a biopsy. But before he did that, and actually after the biopsy, he said to me, he said, you know, you have an excellent physician, because when I did the digital, I did not feel, you know, an abnormality. But when the biopsy came back, the abnormality showed up, okay? And so that I can also share that that I'm a survivor of prostate cancer, okay? And my cancer was diagnosed in 1999, okay? And I like to say that I had the, and I shouldn't give him credit for this, but at the time, the people know the kind of treatment that I got because Rudolph Giuliani got it. And so people would ask me, well, what kind of treatment did you get? And I said, oh, I got the Giuliani treatment, which was at first utilizing hormones to slow down the growth of the prostate cancer. Secondly, I had radiation therapy to shrink the prostate, you know, itself. And then the third part of it, I had what they call brachytherapy. And that's just a long, big old name for them putting radioactive seeds in the remnant.
You went the whole gamut.
Well, yeah, I said, listen, you know, I don't want no oops, you know.
Did he?
Well,
this
tell
or
you this,
that.
John, I told him, I said, look, and let's go back to one thing you
Go
mentioned
ahead.
about the digital. Just for those little PSA, that's your blood test that you take to show whether or not you have this prostate cancer. The digital is a second exam. My PSA was normal. So slightly elevated.
Okay.
If I had not had the digital,
Mm-hmm.
and I went for my exam 1 year later, like I go by, that means that cancer would have grown for 1 year. So that's why I'm so tough on people about getting this digital exam.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like you. You went through all these little things.
Okay.
I said, hey, and they cut it out.
Okay.
And they cut it. I had a radical. They cut it out right off the bat. I was in the very, very, fortunately, in the very early stages, and they cut it out. And
yeah. Well, and I will tell you, and I will tell on myself again, because part of my main concern was that I wanted the equipment to still work.
Working.
but
Okay.
Working
And
equipment.
so one of the things too, and I'm so glad that you raised that one of the things about prostate cancer, and James, I'm going to ask you to talk about this one, is that when they did the test and proved positive, that's when the confusion really set in, because there were so many different options
yes,
for treatment, okay? And it was, okay, you could do this, and you'd have that percentage of a probability that it would catch it. If you did that, it would, have a high percentage, but then you may not be able to do anything sexually, okay? If you did, okay. Now, I'm just telling you.
oh no, I'm just saying, yeah.
perspective.
I was
Okay.
offered all those same options.
Okay,
I said no.
Okay.
I'll worry about that later. Get this cancer out of me. Cut it out, cut it out, cut it out. And they did.
Okay.
And it took longer to recover than they said. They said within 6 months your activity will be normal again. Nah.
Right.
No, it was longer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It took longer, and a lot of brothers would worry about, well, am I going to lose the capacity, or whatever. One of the things, and Sharon, I hope I'm not putting you on blast, etc. But it was through my wife's patience, okay, and us talking and our understanding that we were able to work through that period of my recovery, okay, and I have to say that I never realized how how having a wife that understands what it is to go through that and to have the patience of working with me through that, just how great that is. So by the way, I gotta tell that's fascinating. Today is my anniversary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, June 6th.
Okay.
That's it. 33 years. Okay. And my wife is, she's currently in West Palm Beach taking care of her sister who is going through recovery from knee surgery. So again, Sharon, happy anniversary, babe. Okay. But coming back to our topic, the choices that were there were so confusing.
Yeah, it was.
It was. And James,
and the only thing I did not want any radiation in my body. That was the first thing I said. I do not want radiation in my body. They had they had what they call cryotherapy. And they give you, and it is confusing. And here's the thing, everybody's gonna tell you, well, this one's really the best, this one's really the best. But what you have to do is you have to literally sit down, write about on a piece of paper, which I did, and then you have to decide.
Well, one of the things that I found out, especially because every year I go and I videotape Dr. Woods, and Dr. Wood gives the yearly update. So listening to what he has to say yearly, based on what's new, what's up and coming, what's considered working, not working, and it's just beneficial just to come there just to get the updates, on what's going on, what's the latest. So that's very important as well.
And there's some good stuff out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So because he was saying something, I don't know if you can remember this, James, but I think in the last year or two, he was saying if you're not over 50, then there's a surgery you shouldn't get. Like you shouldn't get the surgery. Something he was saying that was totally new. Something that they were saying to do before. Now the data and the statistics show no, that you shouldn't. Now the options are to do this, this, and this. So he's very funny in how he tries to deliver the update, especially this year. He's super funny.
Well, one of the things, prostate cancer is a very slow growing cancer. And a lot of people, when you get older, they just tell you, just leave it alone. And they say more men die with prostate cancer than of prostate cancer. I've heard that statement made many times because they get it and they just, over the years, and they get in their 80s and they have it, but they don't bother to have the surgery or anything else.
Right.
And there are many men that are right on that borderline, you know, of both with the PSA, and they said, well, you know, doc, you know, should I have the surgery? And many of the urologists or physician will recommend what they call watchful waiting.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is to watch what is happening, you know, with the PSA. Watch what is happening now. Also, what I want to say, and James, we may want to touch on this, that some of the controversy that's come up has arose around the lack of accuracy of the PSA, and you were touching on that a little bit.
Yeah, they've changed the rules. Now they're saying that it really isn't worth having. They're inaccurate. And, but you know, you have these studies come out, say something 1 week, 2 or 3 months later, somebody else will come out, another study say something almost completely opposite. So you just have to kind of do what you think is best, read up, and then make your own choice, make your own decision.
You know, and I think the important thing, and what I got from what you were saying there, is to really deal with it, not to run away from it, or at one point, because that instance or that feeling of, well, you know, I really don't want to know, is also a powerful that motivator to not get to the doctor,
That's
not
right.
to really deal with it.
I think it's a big factor, not wanting to know.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get some of the other rationalizations of, you know, quote unquote, well, something's gonna kill me at some point.
Yeah.
Okay. and we can go through all of the wonderful, you know, psychological rationalizations, etc.
What's the word they use? You're the psychologist. What's the word they use for that? When people try to put it off.
Denial.
Rationalization.
Right,
okay.
and
That's the word I'm
rationalization.
thinking.
Exactly, exactly. And, you know, one of the things that I've seen, and again, my area is mental health, but, you know, this also happens to us in mental health. And by the way, at the Health Summit, James, as you know, that my nonprofit is going to be doing the mental health screening, you know, at the African American Men's Health Summit. So we and Dr. Adams has allowed me to take some leadership in terms of the mental health area, et cetera. But be it physical health or mental health, one of the things that we see too much is us waiting too late and too long before we do anything. You know.
One thing I just want to mention, we talked about we changed from the Expo Center to the Convention Center. Also over the years, because we had more ethnic groups coming in, we changed the name from the African American Men's Health Summit to the Black Men's Health and Wellness Expo.
And also mention that it's just not for black, it's for everybody.
And we have everything.
Any and everybody who wants to come.
Asians, Hispanics, Caucasian, everybody's there.
Right.
East Indians, everything.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, there's a gentleman who I've seen over the last 5 years, you know, older, you know, white gentleman, who is there, and he's upfront and personal, and he says, you know, he'll wait in line.
Is he short, real short?
Yeah.
Tim Teal. Tim Teal, that's his name, Tim Teal. He has been there every year I've been. He's one of the first ones in the door. I thought he was Korean. I'm not sure what he is.
Exactly. But he makes sure that you,
Yes,
and he
I know
lets
what
you
you're talking
know
about. Yeah.
that he's there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know what you're talking about.
And the interesting thing too, you know, as we're talking about participants, that while it is directed towards black men, as you rightly say, that it is participated by all ethnic groups. The beautiful part about it too is that the screeners, the healthcare providers, are also multiracial,
Yes.
so that they do have folks that look like us, but also nursing schools will donate their students volunteering to come. The medical school at University of Central Florida has donated. I remember even the director of the Orange County Health Department.
Right.
Oh yeah, Kevin.
Yeah,
he's
Kevin
there every. He's there every
is
year.
there every year.
Yeah.
So it really is a community outreach and community event that's really been embraced to me by the entire community.
And we get a lot of from the VA, a lot of doctors and physician assistants from the Veterans Administration. We get a lot of those. Kingsley Williams is our contact out there. He brings them in left and right.
Well, James, kind of take us to today. I have the number up now, 407-647-9339, and they can go register. But kind of walk us through at blackmenshealthsummit.com. But kind of tell us how you go and you go online and you register. So start from there.
You go on, you register, you put in your information, whether you want a breakfast, whether you want to attend the workshops, and you get a free parking pass because they do charge for parking. And the minute you get a free parking pass, you get a password. And that's how you register online at blackmenshealthsummit.com.
Yeah, it's up on the screen now. Yeah.
Blackmenshealthsummit.com. And we also, for the guys, at least the last few years, we've had a bus out in the parking lot that takes them from the parking lot over to the doorway. And that helps a lot too.
Okay, and then from there you come in, and the first thing
you go through, you find out, you get your registration packet.
The time. It starts at
8 o'clock.
At 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
They open the doors. I think it's 7:30.
Right.
You can come in at 8 o'clock. Those men that are having a prostate exam can pick up their packet right away and schedule themselves for the prostate exam. They usually go between about 10 and 1. From there, you go, you register, you go in, you get a hat, you get a packet, and you go into the hall, you have a nice breakfast.
Yeah, right. So you enter into the man cave at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay.
And there was something else I wanted to ask you. It slipped my mind. But the phone number, if they have any questions, I have it up, like it's 407-647-9339. And usually it starts it usually ends at about what time?
It's scheduled from 8 to 2, but normally by 1:30, everybody's out of there.
Right. And so it's boom, 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 and out of there. Right.
You can just go from station to station to station. You go get your heart checked, and you go get your blood pressure checked in the screening room.
And see, as far as the vendors, they have. Talk about some of the vendors, because you have vendors from A to Z. I mean, you can go in and is the Army there? Is that the Army?
Army, one of Walgreens, one of our big sponsors.
Right.
We have chiropractors that are there.
You get your ears, your throat, your eyes, your nose,
they
your toes.
Check your teeth. They check everything.
Yeah.
And also for the men, we have. If you go to visit all these different booths to get your information, they punch your little ticket, and you turn it in. And before we leave there, we draw. And the top prize is $500.
Wow.
And I think it's 5, 3, 1, and I think 50. And we draw the name, and I deliver the check.
All right.
I've been doing it the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, now, I heard you earlier talk about this, but you say that you're the one, and I don't know how many people. One, we're asked, we always looking for volunteers.
Yes.
Always looking for volunteers. And 2, when is it that we usually start with the registration? and start looking for the volunteers, and kind of walk us through what happens when it's over, and then you do what you do when you go out and you try to find, go to the house to get. Kind of walk us through that process and how you do that.
Okay, on a particular area I handle is just the prostate. Once all the test results are back, I get the list of everybody that took it. And normally we have somewhere around 300 men that take the prostate exam. You would think there'd be more out of the 2,000, but we get about 300. We go through, we get the results. They'll either be normal, abnormal, or, and so what I would do, I get the list, and I type up a letter and send it to them saying, these are your results. Now, if it is a abnormal reading, we do not send them out like on a Thursday where they'll get it Friday, the whole weekend they're in turmoil.
Right.
Because I know how it was when I found out. I mean, that weekend, waiting for that call back from that doctor was horrible. So we send a letter out. It's always a certified letter. And they'll usually get it on a Monday or a Tuesday, no later than Wednesday. So they'll have time to make arrangements or go, if they want to go to the doctor. Sometimes a doctor see them the next day because these guys, you know, when they get that abnormal, sometimes their reaction is just overwhelming. They just, all they see is death. I mean, I can tell you, a lot of guys say, no, that's not true, but it is. When you hear the doctor say that when I went for my results, I waited and waited, they didn't call me. And I called the doctor. I was down in Fort Lauderdale, getting ready to do a speech. And I called, they said, well, a doctor's not in, he won't be back from vacation. I said, look, somebody's gonna tell me something. And over the phone, this is on a Friday, they said to me, there's no easy way to say this, we found cancer. And I had a horrible weekend because all I thought about was the negative. And that's usually the first reaction. So we try to, we do send them a certified letter. We try to get the letter early in the week so they can, if they have that feeling, they can go ahead and make arrangements to see a doctor as soon as possible.
Now, is there anything out there that the Summit provide as far as counseling or anything like that? That when they do hear the bad news, is there something, a place where you should have them call or have someone call them? Have we gotten to that part yet?
Well, I don't have any counseling per se. I mean, we do some counseling right there as they take the PSA, let them know, okay, these are the possibilities and this is what you should do. If you get a letter saying it's abnormal, this is what you should do. So the doctors there, right there, to do the digital exams and stuff, they will sit right there and they will talk to them. And you can ask them all kinds of questions. Well, doc, if mine comes back negative, do I do this, do I do that? And they'll sit there and they'll talk to them about it.
Now, the process of you saying that you're saying that you're knocking on doors.
Well, what happens, once I knock on the door is when they don't pick up the letter.
Okay.
I have a list of all the certified letters I sent out. And I found out that it hasn't been delivered or they haven't picked it up, it's still at the post office or whatever it is, then I will go by the house.
Okay. Now, as far as you were saying, when you go by the house, what are the percentage that you actually have the address, and what are the percentage of the men that you speak to when you, let's just say you have 10 houses to go to. Out of the 10, how many houses you would go to that you would actually talk to somebody?
Probably 2 or 3.
Wow.
Because here's the thing, the ones I go to,
so you're at like 20%.
The ones I go to, let me just say this here, the ones that get the certified letter, the majority of them will respond back. The ones I go to are the ones that just don't respond one way or the other. And when you go to when you call them on the phone, they don't answer the phone or it's the wrong number. You go by the house and see the wrong address or there's no such address.
Okay, so they start out with something false that's not true from the start, so that which, okay.
So they, you know, I go there and try to give them the information and they're not there.
Okay.
They don't live here or they've never lived here.
Oh, wow.
You know, and I have never figured out why that is, why they go through the whole process, take the test, and then give me a false phone number and a false address. But it happens every single year.
As far as you know, I know of four people that I know of But how many have you heard give their testimony to say that because of the summit that they are alive today? How many do you know of?
Oh, I've had at least a dozen more, at least a dozen. They've told me, not just for the prostate, but for the heart, the blood pressure.
Right.
I mean, we've had how many people leave there in a stretcher?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, their blood pressure was so high, and they took it 2 and 3, 4 times. They couldn't believe it was that high.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no.
Okay. And see, again, that's one of the things that I think that we often neglect, ourselves. As you were talking about, well, why the false addresses, and as you were talking, I was thinking about it, and I think it feeds into that sense. It's another version, I believe, of the I really don't want to know.
Yeah.
Okay. That going through it up to a point, but not at a point where you really get the feedback. So, and it is a tricky process that the mind goes through. But I believe that in some ways, and think about it, some of the dynamic may be that with men going through, if my buddy is saying, well, I should take the test, I may take it also. But again, I may not really want to know, but I can't let my buddy know or not take the test.
And sometimes it's the wife, the girlfriend, the mother.
Okay.
I've heard, you're going.
Oh, okay.
And they'll go, okay, and they just give all.
Yeah,
Okay.
And
I'm sorry. And they can go home and say, well, yeah, I did it.
Yeah,
I took it.
I took it.
Okay.
And one of the things that they do try to stress to the lady volunteers how important they are to getting the men to come.
Yes,
that's one of the
exactly.
things that they do try and stress to the lady volunteers.
And that's why we don't target just men places. We take them to beauty shops and stuff like that where we have women to give the cards to their husbands, boyfriends, fathers, and stuff to get them to come out. We do a lot of that. We do our flyers and things like that. We talk to the women. Get your man to come out. Get your father, your brother, son, whoever it is, to get out and get free check.
Okay.
And a lot of them do.
One of the things we haven't talked about crossing bridges.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about crossing bridges. So like us on crossing bridges. Tell us.
Of course, well, that's the way I have with the men. The only thing, the best thing I like about the crossing bridges, that's for the teens between 12 and 17. It turns out to be a family affair. Sometimes you get a father, the son, and the grandfather, and that's great. And it's just a good experience for them. They learn all about teen stuff, about sexual transmitted disease. There's so many different topics they talk about in the crossing bridges.
And this is the crossing bridges is when the fathers, also the grandfather, bring their sons and grandsons and nephews, and they have had people like Nick Anderson to come out. We always bring the guest speaker, Monica May from Star 94.5, usually heads that up. And so try to get some great speakers, and we have different workshops for the young boys, and that's every other year. And so we try to get them to sign up as well. And we can't stress enough of the importance to sign up ahead of time. There's a benefit for signing up online, versus getting there, signing up. And of course, it happens, but it's definitely a benefit because it's simple, right? You try to make it as simple as possible to go online and just talk about how simple it is to go online and sign up.
That's what you do. You can do the sign up for all three of them. The father, the son, and the grandfather. They do it all the time.
Right.
Okay.
It's very easy to sign up. Like I said, the boys we do every other year, and there's one on the website. There's one for the men and one for the boys to sign up.
Yeah.
You just fill in the information, and you register. It takes just a matter of a few minutes.
And then the thing of it is, honestly, I can say this because, and as you know, Angela's a stickler. You see laughing.
Right, exactly.
So Angela's a stickler. When 8 o'clock comes, and if at 8:04 it's not happening, What's going on? What's up? What's up? Hey. It's 8:04. She is a on-time person. So if you think you're going to get there at 8:30 because you think no. When she say 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, music playing, they walk in, the drums are playing, at 8:01 the drums playing, the doors are opening, and if not, she back there, okay. So she's an on-time person. And so, and I say that to say it's organized. You don't have people all over everywhere. You got, they have people at stations that say, when you walk through the door, you go here. When you go here, when you have a question, okay, we can answer it. So you're not walking around because it's a big place. It's the place is huge. So they don't want anybody getting lost or anything like that. You walk in, you get your bag, you got your hat, you got this, and they sending you. You need to go over there. You need to go over there, and you can always smell the breakfast. Just follow your nose.
And also the people that the chairpersons, they have on different colored shirts.
Right.
Regular volunteers. So you're gonna see there. You're gonna say, okay, this person, all these people have on the purple shirt, but this lady has on a yellow shirt with this and that, and so she must be, or he must be, be able to give me information, so you can know to go to them. They stick out.
And I tell you, it's one of the best volunteer or organized activities that I've ever been part of. So, you know, Dr. Adams is on-time stickler. It works, you know. So.
And then when it's over with, we sit down and we have a critique. Okay, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? How can we make it better for next year? And we do that after every summer.
And then also, just to let you know, for the people out there who may be on the borderline of thinking about volunteers, Angela is very good to her volunteers. She understands how important they are.
Yes.
She recognizes them, and the most important thing, she feeds them. Yes. So I'm letting you know she feeds you very well. So even when you come to the meetings before and you getting instructions, she feeds you, and she don't have you lingering around. You come in, you say she give you the information, and it's done, over with, boom, until the next meeting. So she's a very precise person, and she treats you right.
The meetings start at 6, and our goal is to be out there by 7, and very rarely are we not.
Right.
And the only ones there after 7 are people sitting around talking to each other. But the meeting is over about 7.
Yeah, because see, my thing is, I've been, how long you been there, 15 years?
Yeah.
I've been there about 15 years. I'm trying to get me a gold shirt like you.
Okay.
You never go, you have my shirt.
I'm just kidding. And once again, you can tell them to go to
BlackMen'sHealthSummit.com.
Hold on, wait a minute. Well, let me put it up. Okay, there it is. It's the phone number is 407-647-9339. It's the Black Men's Health Summit. But also, one of the other things that you can do, let me put this up, you can like them on Facebook. You know, right now it's www, well, of course, you go to Facebook/Black Men's Health Summit and like them on Facebook as well.
My wife is Facebook. I don't know Facebook from Twitter, so that's a little bit too fast for me.
Well, for that younger generation that we're trying to get in, they're into all of that.
I still have a flip phone.
I hear you. Okay. I hear you.
Now I'm going to say something real funny. Angela called me last week, and I'll say this real quick because we're actually running out of time. But she had a young man, a young man with her. And he asked me a question. Angela said, I need you to talk with him. He said, well, I think doing the Men's Health Summit that they can do the Instagram and they can tweet. I said, do you know your demographics and who you talking to? And then he thought for a moment. I said, no, this is not the hip hop crowd. Right. I said, ain't nobody there gonna be tweeting, Instagramming, on Facebook. And he thought about it for a minute. He go, oh yeah. I said, maybe you can start something in the future to get that going, but ain't nobody be gonna, those men are not gonna be doing the Instagram and on Facebook while they there at the Health Summit. Exactly. So just understanding your audience. Exactly. Any last word, because we're actually running out of time?
No, the biggest thing is, gentlemen, if you see this, you still got time. We got until the 14th of June. get there. If you don't register ahead of time, we like you to, but if you can't, you can come in that day and register. If you at the last minute decide, I still want to go, show up and we'll get you in there. We don't turn anyone away.
All right. And as you were saying at the beginning, everything is free.
Everything is free.
All right. Well, family, it looks like we're coming to a close, in our show. And I hope that that all of you have an opportunity, if you're in the vicinity, to experience the Black Men's Health Summit. I finally got the name correct now. And we hope that you join us there at the Orange County Health Center. So again, it has been good being with you tonight. And as we like to say, the journey is from me to you and from you to me. Good night. We'll see you next week. Okay.